Welcome to Music for the Mind. And tonight we're showcasing Archer Cormier, who's written this song, Boys Don't Cry. Thank you for joining us, Archer. We're so happy to have you with us.
How are you doing this evening?
Great. I just want to give some context to somebody who might be tuning into this interview for the first time. Music for the Mind is a compilation that the Canadian Mental Health Association is putting out. We put out a call about a year ago for musicians or singers, songwriters, or people that just kind of put their stories down on paper with the hopes of turning it into a song. And, we had 60 people enter, and from those 60, we kind of whittled it down to 12, which is what's making up this compilation album all about people's mental health journey. Tonight, we also have Bob Mersereau, and Bob is a music writer in Fredericton, New Brunswick, who's written several books on Canadian music, including the top-selling book, The Top 100 Canadian Albums. Bob, thank you for joining us, and welcome, Archer, and take it away, Bob.
Thanks, Lori. Hi, Archer. How are you doing?
Fantastic. How are you doing tonight?
Great. Well, look, I've been loving this song, "Boys Don't Cry." It's just a tremendous piece. I can't wait for people to hear it. So
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's get to know you a little bit first. How long you been doing music?
I had heard I'm wearing a Metallica shirt, so I had heard a song called "Sanitarium" by Metallica years ago, and I thought, geez, if I could just learn that, that's all I'd need to know. Nothing, but it ended up being pretty easy, and then I continued from there. But I was about 16. I had no one to teach me anything, so I'd started writing then. I'd be making up these chords, and I had made a bar chord one time, and I said, look what I did. And he says, that's a bar chord. I'm like, what do you mean? He says, yeah, you could play that anywhere. I'm like, well, I worked hard on that.
But then everybody stole it.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I did that. But basically that's how I learned how to play, was trying to just write my own stuff and, come up with odd chords and stuff that sounded okay. And
yeah, great. What have you been doing with all these songs you've been coming up with?
Lately, I haven't for a while. I just had I've got a little page on Facebook, a group that I'll post an acoustic song, just a video, and then post it up there. But other than that, this would be my first time in studio with this song here.
Well, that's great. Well, look, what happened to get you involved with music? Music for the Mind.
I saw the post on Facebook. It came up, and I thought, oh, that seems interesting. So I just, I didn't have the song written at the time. I sort of had just thought about it, and I had a few guitar licks sort of, that I was saving up. And so when I messed around with it, kind of came up with the lyrics, and then I submitted it. I think it was almost the last day before, for submission entries. And then I finally heard from Lori, I guess.
Yeah, wow. It's well, I mean, you took the challenge and hopped right in. I mean, the results are great. So let's talk about the song, "Boys Don't Cry." It's a pretty straightforward message that or a tale that we all know. You're not supposed to, if you're a boy, you're not supposed to cry. We heard that growing up. Why did you want to turn that into a message?
I'm actually involved with a few men's groups, fathers groups, just on Facebook still. And that's kind of the common message is and even a guy will come in with a story and he'll say, I know I need to man up. And thankfully, most of the men in the group will say, no, you don't need to man up, right? Like this is okay to show your feelings. It is okay to have feelings, right? And I work as an educational assistant, and I find even with some of the young kids, you'll talk about, your feelings and stuff. And then, the young kids will say, well, boys shouldn't hit girls and boys don't cry. And I said, you're right. Boys shouldn't hit girls. However, keep in mind, girls should also not hit boys. Like there seems to be this thing that we find funny in like movies and stuff where, if a guy gets kicked in the groin area, it's a comical part of the show, and I've always been offended by that. I thought, why is that funny? Like that hurts. That shouldn't be funny. And so just sort of that message where, like having a positive males and being recognized as positive males, I think includes being able to show your feelings and being able to to be a person that is out there and is respectful and is also wanting to be available to people who are hurting. And
Yeah, yeah. Well, men's mental health is still, a subject that for so many people they just don't want to go to. It's like, those are my feelings. That's I'm just draw the line. We're not going to talk about that.
yeah,
Why is it so important to you to get to break that wall down?
I had read about the they're saying that women attempt suicide more often, but the men are more successful. And I thought that's pretty harsh. That's, you reach the point where you're, when you said you're done, you meant it, right? And that's it's a scary thing. Like I know people who have committed suicide. I knew people who had committed suicide, and it just it just resonates with me as something that we need to make sure. 2 weeks ago, I had a buddy message me, and I said, "How you doing?" He said, "Do you want the truth, or do you want the sugar-coated version?" I said, "Dude, I always want the truth." And he said, "Look, my life's falling apart, and I feel like I'm ready to end it all." Right. So for him to be able to approach me, I I was happy about that, but also sad that he was at that point. But for him to be able to speak that way, I think we've come a long way.
Yeah, no, it's great. Is this something that's, I mean, for many people, it's, we all know people that have had problems with mental health. We've all probably suffered mental health problems. For you, is it just something that's become more and more important in your life to be able to be there for people to help them out?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't. I find oftentimes I don't like being fake whatsoever. Like what you see is what you get at all times. And I find oftentimes, especially with social media, you have a lot of people that offer support to say, I'll always be here, but then maybe you know them really well and you think, I'm not sure I agree with what you posted, that you're always available, because you don't seem to be that person to me, right? So I think being an example, I think people, if they're capable of being an example, should be that example. And however that presents itself, right?
Yeah. Well, I bet you're somebody who practices what they preach.
Well, I try to, I try to. I
Yeah.
read something once that it said you're the villain in somebody's story, and that I don't want to be, but I'm sure I am somewheres, right? But
Let me go back to the song. What surprises me is the quality of this number. It's really, I'm really excited for people to hear it, because it's to me, it's it jumped right out, and I said, "Wow, this is." Why don't I know about this guy? Because I know all the musicians
right.
in New Brunswick, or so So I like to think this sounds like somebody that's absolutely polished and has it together. Has been doing this a long time. So kudos to you on that.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I've just sort of, I've got well over 200 tunes, but you just they're just kind of stocked in, and you play when you can. I've tried before. You've been in bands, and oddly enough, a lot of the guys out here don't want to do originals. They just want to be a cover band, and that was never my dream, never my thought. And I always thought it was odd that I was the uncool one for wanting to do original material. And they're like, no, that's all right. Well, you do your thing. We're just gonna go play some AC/DC over here. And like, don't get me wrong, I love AC/DC, and I don't mind cutting a cover of it, but we have material, and so.
Yeah, no, well, it's a good one. It's a good one. What for your songwriting do you find it a way to address important issues for you, mental health being one of them? Is it something that do you like to make important songs? I guess is
I do.
yeah.
I do. Like sometimes it's just sometimes it's just a line, or like you hear something in a movie that someone says, and you're like, geez, that'd be a great name for a song, or a good idea for a song. And and then a lot of times, I don't have anything against love songs, and I have them, but it's so easy to write a love song, and it takes a little more preparation and thought to come up with a song that isn't just "I love you and I hope you love me back," right, kind of thing. And then even last spring, with the shootings there in Halifax, right, and so that was something I've been thinking about, and was able to write something then, and I'll just grab my phone and put ideas down, and I'll listen to it. And I'm embarrassed sometimes. Have my headphones in, and somebody says, "Well, what are you listening to?" I'm like, "Well, listening to myself, actually." And it's not because I love the sound of my voice, but I keep trying to figure out what I can do to make the song better. Is there a line I could change, or is the bridge off, or however that is. But usually by the time I've shown anyone anything I've written, I've already listened to the darn thing 50 times, and I'm trying to, but that being said, I've always been, if anyone ever said, hey, why don't we try this? I'm like, yeah, let's do that, please. I love to have that, a collaboration, because your brain gets stuck into one avenue for how the song, and you're trying to change it, and you can't anymore because you're pigeonholed into it. And then someone else will have a great idea, and you're like, geez, I'm glad they thought of that, because I wasn't thinking.
Well, it's great. Going back to when when Laurie first started talking about doing this project, a lot of one of the main goals was that there's people out there who aren't necessarily recording artists in New Brunswick that have definite thoughts about mental health, and want to get their stories out there, and their feelings out there. Hopefully this will connect, and absolutely in your case it did. So I'm really thrilled that you stepped up to the plate with this one.
Thank you. I was surprised as well. I had gotten a phone call, and I thought, who's this? I didn't. And then she said, you submitted a song. I'm like, oh, right. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
Good pick, Laurie.
Yeah, it was a great pick. Or it is a great pick, and that was.
All right. Thanks so much. Great to meet you, Archer.
Yeah, it was great talking with you as well. Thank you so much.
Archer, you've rendered me a little bit speechless, to be honest with you. As you were talking earlier in the interview with Bob, I had tears in my eyes. I can't even fathom what it must be like being in the shoes of men, and growing up and being told to man up, to don't cry, you need to be strong, you need to be tough, and to be holding back those kinds of emotions. Like men's mental health is so important, and you've really captured that and brought it to the forefront with Boys Don't Cry. So I'm so thankful that you submitted this, and it's been chosen to be on the CD. I think it's going to resonate with so many people. So thank you, and much respect for your songwriting skills.
Thank you so much.
Bob, thank you again for your wonderful interviewing skills, and bringing this important message out about men's mental health, and for volunteering and mentoring me through this process. I really appreciate you. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Laurie.